I think got the most press for a while as potential models. What we're calling the pharma or PBM style. It's the one where the digital health product itself is wrapped up as a product that gets coding and is billed like it were a drug through a pharmacy benefit. Say a little bit more and give us some of the examples.
Yeah, sure. So you're exactly right, Adam. It's really having these products placed on a formulary. There are some pharmacy benefit managers out there and insurers that actually have digital formularies. Not a lot of them, but a few. And they evaluate these products. I'm not going to say the same way, but in a similar way that they would evaluate and actually tier pharmacy products. This type of product is really what Pear's model was. It's also what Achille was doing. The benefit for the patient was under the pharmacy benefit rather than under the medical benefit. And by using the pharmacy benefit, it would be in a formulary. The physician would actually prescribe the product, and then the company generally dispensed the product, opening up a subscription or something like that. Really, what the challenge was and has been, continues to be, is that the payers haven't really decided where they want to put these types of products. Some of them are moving forward with the pharmacy benefit, with the digital formularies, but many of them are also looking at it as a medical benefit and not quite sure where it goes. And if you're a developer or a manufacturer, you have to be ready for both. And that's a challenge in itself.
It clearly brings a lot of sort of both regulatory and commercial implications. One of the ways I've thought about it is the digital product is trying to mimic what a pharmaceutical product would look like. So briefly touch on what does that mean from a regulatory pathway, getting to the point where they can even think about reimbursement.
So from a regulatory pathway, it's not a pharmaceutical per se, but it actually does need FDA marketing approval or clearance. Really, payers won't even look at it unless there is FDA marketing approval for it. That is a rather steep regulatory hurdle.
So there's at least a couple milestones. So FDA approval, actually getting the code set, and then what does that actually in itself doesn't imply you get a reimbursement rate for it. So walk us through that part of the journey.
Right, absolutely. So even if it is on a formulary, there is still this medical component to it, or could be this medical benefit component. You'd have to apply to CMS for coding so that it would be recognized by a number of payers. These companies did in getting coding, but it ended up being more generic coding. So it was really hard to identify specific products using the coding that existed and really exists now, at least for those couple of products. In this space, it's kind of a catch-all code. And what we as an industry are doing is working towards making that catch-all code more specific and getting more specific codes as products come out so they aren't in general limbo and Medicare administrative contractors can choose to pay kind of whatever they want rather than there being actual value ascribed to that code.
And then we play the journey forward. So you have to get the code. There's a market access energy to get reimbursement for that code at a rate that's relevant. And then what we realized for a lot of the companies who went that this pathway is even as they walk that difficult journey, the commercial model was still to detail physicians to prescribe something to have it then adjudicated through a pharmacy benefit. And the cost of reaching physicians to get the prescription, to know the normal drop off is also very high. So it's a viable pathway. I think we are unfortunately seeing the glass is more than half empty for some of the players, but they were able to achieve real revenue and in some ways bigger than some of the other categories. But the cost and time it takes to go through that are normally built for tens of millions, not hundreds, if not billions of dollar pharmaceutical drugs. And so often it's hard to warrant the cost that it takes to go through, including all the way at the commercial where you're detailing individual physicians to convince them to write a prescription, to have a patient fill it. And then you have all the trouble of the copays and the explanation of benefits and all of the other elements.
I just want to tag on to that yeah, companies were successful in getting coverage with a handful of payers, but they needed more resources to keep getting that coverage at more and more payers. And that was a big challenge.